I'm Patricia Vallone with CTV News, and joining me now is Prince George's County Council member Deni Taveras. She works with District 2. And Deni, I understand that you have been through what's pretty much an unspeakable tragedy here with your family in relationship to this COVID-19 crisis. You've had about 20 members of your family that lives in New York come down with this virus, and the outcome for many has not been what you had hoped for. Can you just tell us a little bit about what's happened?
Well, it's been very trying. We've had about four deaths as of today. The most recent one was this last night. We have two people that are in critical condition, where it could go either way, and we have about 14 cases all told with confirmed COVID detection infections and suspected infections. And so the biggest issue is that, you know, we're an immigrant family, and with that comes living in dense populations, not unlike what we see in the area that I represent here in Langley Park. And the cultural aspect that we live in multi-generational households, meaning that parents are taking care of their children, even if their children are grown. In one case, I had my brother's, one of my half brothers on the side of the family from my brother's father's side, and he was 57. He contracted COVID. He had complications, and he passed away. But his mother took care of him, and as a result of his mother taking care of him and not taking the necessary precautions, she too came down with COVID, and she was not able to sustain it, and she died basically almost 2 weeks later. We have another issue with my uncle Marcial, who passed away a week ago, and his sister took care of him, and now she's in self-quarantine. And so we're waiting to see how that proceeds. Now we have my uncle Dario, who was in a home as a result of a stroke, and he must have contracted COVID from one of his house attendants, one of the medical attendants, same as Marcial, who probably contracted it from his home attendant. And it's hard. I mean, we know what's hard about it is that we can't go see our family. We can't have a proper funeral or proper going away. I can't travel to New York to be with my family. And, you know, we got to worry about funeral arrangements from far away. It was all the funeral all the funerals are booked in New York. I thought that my uncle was going to end up in an unmarked grave, but we were able to get in through the luck of the draw. I have a friend who put me in contact with the service provider she used, and we were able to get in at the last minute this past Saturday. But it's
obviously a very trying emotional time for
it
you
is.
right now.
It is. I mean, I took a week before I could talk about it. We knew that Darío was my uncle Darío was about to pass, so I'm a little bit more centered on that. But it's not easy. I mean, he was a great man, a great father, a great husband, you know, and so it's a loss for the community. It's a loss for my family. And so it's just very hard.
I
And
have
so
never heard of so many people in one family before hearing you. And with the exception of, I heard this story in Italy during the midst of their peak as well. But we're talking about numbers, and these are real people. These are people who had lives, who had connections, family connections. What is it about? Could you tell us something about one or two of your relatives that you really want to share with the community?
it's hard. I mean, I have, I guess with all of our families, we have a lot of dysfunctionalities, you know, but at the end of the day, these are the people who have made me who I am. And I still wouldn't be here without them. And these are the people on whose shoulders I stand on. My uncle Darío was a building engineer. He maintained a building in New York City. He did it for many, many years, for decades, literally. And he raised 3 children. Two are which are, you know, my cousin Mabel and my cousin Ernie are the youngest. He was somebody who he loved his music. He loved his sports. He loved bowling. And he was somebody who was very active in the Dominican Sports Club, which is an anchor of the Dominican community in Washington Heights, New York. He was respected by all the politicians locally there as somebody who was one of the premier leaders in the community in the Washington Heights and Wood area, Dykeman area. And as you know, there may be a lot of broken families that I've seen in my lifetime, but he was one of the few in my house, in my family, that I could say that man stayed with his wife for over 54 years. He was there for his children. He provided for his household. And he was somebody that was worthy of being looked up to, you know? And so he was a good man. Despite his idiosyncrasies and whatever, I think he was somebody that we could all try to emulate when it comes to being a strong provider for their household. And so it's a loss. And he you know, we just hope he rests in peace. He was 81 when he passed. And so, you know, we loved him dearly.
You have probably heard at this point a lot about the high number of African Americans and Latinos. They're disproportionately getting this virus at this point, and also having the most hospitalizations, the most deaths. What are your thoughts about that?
I agree. I think that when I hear the predisposition of how this virus attacks individuals that have high blood pressure, asthma, diabetes. Um, the county exec said it best last week. That's us. That's us. That's my family. That's my uncle Marcial had my Jaimito, my half brother. He had diabetes. His mom, my uncle, my tío Marcial, Darío, had just finished having a stroke. And he was just, that left him completely paralyzed, but he was somebody that was so vibrant. And so, I mean, that's us. And I'll quote Delegate Nick Mulvey, who said, our families don't have the luxury of social distancing. That's a luxury. And we just don't have it in our communities. So, it's hard.
I know this is clearly a tough interview for you. Is there any message before we end it that you want to give out to minority communities out there?
I mean, just try to protect yourself as much as possible. Listen to the advice of the experts. It's very challenging because I love my family, but they're so hard-headed. My tío Flor is 90 years old, and he's on my mom's side, he's the last of the Mohicans on the male side from my grandmother's 13 children. And despite understanding that his brother just passed away, he got on a bus, rode a public bus in New York City went to see family. And I mean, I don't understand how, we have to yell at him to stay home, stay put. And it's hard. It's hard to talk to our seniors, to talk to maybe Generation Z kids who think that they're invincible. But you have to listen to the advice of the experts. There's a reason why we're asking people to stay home, stay protected, to keep their distance. If you are the designated person inside a household that leaves to go shopping, to go to work, when you come home, immediately take a bath. Take a shower, do what you need to do to cleanse yourself, to make sure that you're not infecting other people in your household.
There's now face masks in this area that are required for going out in public places, which is obviously, yes, a good idea.
So we're my office, we've given, we're in the process of giving several hundred masks away for free for people in the district. We're targeting senior homes, civic associations, food pantries or food giveaway sites to give masks away for free. We thank Pastor Carmen Elena Argueta, who's been leading that sewing effort out of her home. She's been completely a lifesaver. God knows that we cannot do this alone. We have to do this in community. We're looking to, we just started a GoFundMe page for out of the Northern Gateway CDC to provide food, hot meals to families, and paying money to the local business food vendors in the community so that we can have a win-win relationship. And so that benefits the local business owner, and it benefits the the community. We're looking to partner up with World Central Kitchen to provide several thousand meals inside the community, as well as we're partnering up with St. Francis to provide additional meals for those with food insecurity in the area. And we're looking to see if we can raise some money to provide some kind of a rental assistance, primarily for individuals that are probably undocumented and are not receiving any kind of assistance from the federal government whatsoever. And so, you know, we're trying to see how we can assist in that vein as well. It's been, I mean, a lot of us may say that we're working from home, we're here, we're on Zoom, and that's wonderful that we're able to still continue working from home. But that's also a luxury that a lot of our families here in District 2 also don't have. If you work in the menial sector, most likely your job has been terminated, and you don't have options for unemployment. You don't have options to pay your rent, and you don't have options to buy food. So we've got to be able to see how we can support the least of the least and the poorest of the poorest inside our communities.
Well, Deni Taveras, we want to wish you and our entire staff here at CTV, as well as I, want to wish you our heartfelt condolences and best wishes for the entire family to recuperate from this terrible virus. We wish you the best. Thank you so much. Thank you for telling your story today.
No, thank you. It was, I hope that I hope that my story can help other people, and that hopefully that some people will be able to listen to what I had to share, and hopefully that it doesn't happen in their families.
We certainly hope it doesn't happen with anybody else, or like I said, I hope your entire family gets better from this.
No, thank you.